Hey everybody! So we've been talking about different ways to make our writing better, and today we're actually going to start working on a story together. I'm going to be modeling how to do the different parts of the story, and then after the lesson your assignment is going to be to do the same thing I did but with your own story. So the writing process, which we are about to do, has several parts. Whenever we take a story through the writing process, we first start by planning. So step 1 is to plan. Step 2 of the writing process is to draft. Step 3 is to revise. Step 4 is to edit. Step 5 is to publish. And step 6 is to share. So as we go on over the next few days, we're going to be talking about each one of these steps, and we're actually going to be doing each one of these steps as we take our story through the writing process. Writing process. So today we're going to be focusing on planning. Another word for plan is also brainstorm. So you may hear it called either thing. You may hear it called plan or brainstorm. So today we're going to plan for our story, and I'm going to do that by creating a web. Sometimes when you have a web, when you're planning, it helps you to stay on track and to make sure that your story makes sense. And it also helps you to get your ideas together. I'm going to start like this. I mean, it may need to add more to it. We'll see. So the type of story that we're going to focus on writing is called a personal narrative. A personal narrative is a story that actually happened to you. So you're going to be writing about something personal that happened in your life, and a narrative is just something that is going to be true, okay, that you write about from your real life experience. So I'm going to start my plan by going to my writer's notebook and seeing if I can get an idea of what to write about. You may already have an idea of what you want to write about, and you don't have to go look at this stuff. But if you're going, oh, I have no idea what to write my story about, then pull out some of the resources that we have, because we spent almost a whole week coming up with writing ideas. So I have all of these ideas here of things that I can write about. I want to choose something for my personal narrative that is going to allow me to write a story. So I have ice cream on here. Maybe there's a time that I had ice cream, maybe at a birthday party. I could write about the birthday party in the ice cream there. But I want to choose something that's going to have a story behind it. So I think I'm going to write about the time I went on a vacation to the mountains, because there's a good story to tell there with that. So that's going to be what I write my story about. So now I'm going to go to my little mat here with my web, and I'm going to start brainstorming. So in your writing journal, when you go to do this in a little bit, when you go to plan, you're going to want to draw a web kind of like this to help you get your ideas all organized and together. So my story is going to be about not just the whole entire vacation of when I went to the mountains, but actually one thing that happened when I was there, and that is feeding the chipmunks. So the whole story is going to be about feeding the chipmunks. So the center of my web here, the middle circle, is what the story is mostly about. All of these different circles that have lines that come off of the middle circle are all things that go along with the story. But this is what it's mostly about in the middle. So the topic of my story, what it's mostly going to be about, is feeding the chipmunks. So when I write this story, I'm also going to tell about how I had to hike to get to where we had to go to feed the chipmunks. So I'm going to write the word hike because I'm going to be writing about that. So when I'm brainstorming on my web here, I'm not writing entire sentences. I'm just writing words that will help me remember when I get to my story of what I need to write. So you don't need to write a whole sentence in these circles. Just write 1 or 2 words that will help remind you of what it is that you need to write about. Okay, so we're writing about feeding the chipmunks. I'm going to write about how we had to hike to get there. I am going to write a sentence about what we fed them. So I'm going to write the food. I'm going to write about how you had to sit still. So I'm just going to write 2 words, sit still. And I'm also going to write about how much fun it was. Okay? So I already have my story planned. It was really easy, wasn't it? All I had to do was pick what I wanted to mainly write my story about. It's going to be about feeding the chipmunks. And then I had to think about different ideas that go along with that. So when I write about feeding the chipmunks, I'm going to tell you about the hike I had to take to get there. And then the food that we fed the chipmunks and how you had to sit really still for them to come to you. And then how much fun that was. So today when you plan out your story, think about, yours may not be feeding the chipmunks because you possibly, you may have, but you may not have fed chipmunks before. So you don't need to write about feeding the chipmunks. You may want to write about this time that you went on an adventure in your backyard, or maybe you went on a different vacation to a beach somewhere. You may want to write about that. So think about one thing for your personal narrative that you would like to write a story about. It needs to be something that really happened in your life, and then you are going to make a web to help you plan out your story. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about how to put your web into an actual story. Okay? So I want you to make this web in your writing journal and make the plan for your story, and then submit a picture or video to show me what you have planned. All right?